that was, if you can imagine a perfect night, that was a perfect night. And it's happened a lot since then. But it has happened a lot since then. But that was the first time that I really looked at you and was like, yeah, this is it. So today we're going to be doing things a little bit different. Today Ashley's going to do a little Q&A with the bearded bad dad. Let's get this going.
All right. So I had a little help from a friend, ChatGPT, on this because I'm not very creative. So
you are kind of creative. So we wanted to do things a little different this time because like nobody really asks me any questions that are like good questions for me personally because a lot of people don't want to get too personal or, but I can navigate questions on my own.
Yeah. So one of the questions I want to ask you is like, you asked somebody this question before, but like, it's kind of interesting to see what your answer would be. So if they were to make a movie about your life, who would play you?
Okay, so I'm gonna have to go with I like Jack Black. I really like Jack Black. I think it'd have to be a character like Jack Black to get the accurate flavor. But he's not really a dramatic actor. In my life, it's kind of dramatic.
The guy that played Hagrid, is he still alive?
I don't know. I don't think so.
You don't have the Hagrid hair no more, though.
I don't think he is alive. But anyway, yeah, so I'd have to go with somebody like Jack Black or maybe Zach Galifianakis.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good one, yeah. So, if they wrote a movie about our life, who would play me?
Who do I want to play you? I'd have to go, I don't know. That's a difficult one because I have no idea. Going on looks, like there's so many actresses out there that could like pull off your classic, librarian look like you got right now.
Yeah.
I have no idea. See, Zach Galifianakis or Jack Black paired up with, I have no idea. Sandra Bullock?
Yeah. Okay. We'll just skip over that one. What is something that you're really passionate about that most people wouldn't know?
Most people wouldn't know? That's a tough one because I wear everything on
it's
the
like you're
outside.
kind of like an open book.
Yeah, I tell everybody everything. Like UFOs, you wouldn't think about looking at me I'd be like a UFO nut. But so it's not just the UFO subject that I get into, like the little flying saucers, and I go deep into this stuff like theoretical science, and I think that's what most people wouldn't know about me is how deep into it I really get. And like I can have deeper than surface level conversations about UFOs.
Yeah.
Like when Joe Rogan's talking about UFOs on his podcast and he gets things wrong, I'm like, no, it's not that, it's this. And those are just the stories. But when it comes down to like the theoretical science behind, what we're seeing, and well, I've never seen a UFO, but the
You
people
thought you did though one time.
right? The people that see UFOs, there is a theoretically sound science behind a lot of this stuff, and if the government has been, deep into anti-gravitics for decades. If they've been messing around with anti-gravitics and blocking the science for the common man, some of the things that are reportedly seen are absolutely theoretically possible. But then there's just the history of the UFO subject and all the nuances in different countries like Brazil, and like I know a lot of stories and from a lot of other countries, not just, you know, the UK or Canada, or I know a lot of UFO stories from all over the world, and I'm just intrigued by that. I think that's something that a lot of people wouldn't know about me.
Or that you really like watching Olympic curling.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a good one. Olympic curling.
You wish you could be a curler. Huh?
Yeah, it looks so fun, and like you're not really skating. I think that I could actually do that because you're not actually on ice skates. Whereas I'm pretty
Like you're already close to the ground, so you don't have to worry about falling.
Right, I'm pretty sturdy
And hurting yourself.
on ice, but I'm just not on ice skates. I feel like my ankles are going to break or something.
Yeah.
What do you got next?
Let's see. What's been one of the hardest decisions you've ever had to make?
Well, that's a difficult one too, because I've had to make a lot of shitty decisions that nobody should have to make. But I'm going to exclude all those because, you know, some of it's a little personal, but a lot of people probably wouldn't understand my thought process behind a lot of the things that I've had to make really hard decisions on. But the hardest decisions that I have to make are often with the podcast and whether to spend money on this or that, because I don't bring a whole lot of money into the house, so it's not like because I feel guilty dictating where this dollar should go versus that dollar, and this person needs that, but I'm going to use this money for this. And those are some of the hardest decisions I make on a daily basis, and it just pulls my brain just in several different areas because I know I need this, but justifying spending the family money, it's hard to justify spending, you know, money on a podcast that I don't know is ever going to bring money, the kind of money that I've spent into it, back into the house. Yeah. The amount of research that I put, like simply like this camera, for instance, the amount I put like 3 months of research into buying this camera because I had to have something that was good quality, but wasn't going to cost a lot of money.
Okay. Well, next question.
And this is probably why people don't ask me questions, because I get long-winded on things. I think a little deeply on questions.
So, next question. Out of all of your sports memorabilia that you have, what is that one item that you will never part with?
So that's probably an easy one for me. I have a helmet, a full-size football helmet that Travis Kelce autographed, and it says SB Champs on the side of it, and Travis Kelce. I'm pretty proud of that one. I will never sell that one ever. Mm-hmm. And I'll never.
And you even have a Patrick Mahomes one, right?
I do. I have, and right here behind me, I have an autographed picture of Patrick Mahomes. It's actually autographed. These are like memorabilia things. But yeah, I have a full-size helmet that's autographed by Patrick Mahomes, and that damn helmet cost like $1,200. And so,
I wonder, like, you know, you just have to think, like, how much is that worth now with the whole Taylor Swift thing, and what are Swifties willing to pay?
The Travis Kelce helmet? Yeah. I have no idea.
I mean, they pay like $3,000 for Taylor Swift tickets, right? Like,
so I know what I paid for it. I paid $800 for the helmet, and the thing is, like, I've had a few offers of like people wanting to buy it.
Ridiculous ones,
yeah,
too.
I've had a couple $100, and, you know, but like I that's ridiculous. So I'm not even going to entertain offers like that. But the Travis Kelce helmet, like, I've already decided that I'm never going to sell that one, because when I got it, I was so awestruck by how cool it is, you know, and now I know how people's helmet collections get so big.
Well, and I think he's going to be one of those people that even when he retires from football, like, he's going to keep being this famous, well-known person involved in many things. So
yeah, a lot of people don't know I have autographed I have autographed football cards too. And those don't make it out of the safe very often.
Yeah.
Because those were, they were ridiculously expensive for what they are.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. So let's get into a little bit about us.
Okay.
Let's ask you some questions. So what is, well, some of these I know, like who's the better cook?
Well,
like, that's easy.
yeah. So you know these questions, but the audience doesn't.
So, I mean, I'm the better cook.
Absolutely.
Let's just put that out there. So what do you think is the one thing I do that drives you absolutely nuts?
Oh, there's so many of them. I think so the one thing that really drives me nuts, and it's really only come to my attention like lately because it's always drove me nuts, but I didn't know what it was. So you will kind of demand leadership, and then when you get leadership, you won't follow it. And that drives me nuts. That drives me absolutely insane. You look to me for everything, but then when I talk, you don't listen. And so, like, you'll ask me for to make a call on this or that, and I'll make that call on this or that, and then you'll completely ignore.
Well, and I think one thing I'm bad about, well, you might be bad about it too. You might see it both ways. Is like, I want to vent to you about something.
Yeah,
you fix it.
I think that's a pretty
here's the way to
common.
fix it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to tell you about it.
Right. I think that's a pretty common thing with men and women in relationships. And men are fixers, and if you bring me some issues, I'm gonna want to fix them. But at the same time, I've kind of learned to sit back and let you vent. And when I find things appropriate to kind of chime in on this or that, I do let those things be known, but I don't like, you should do this or you should do that.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Let's see.
You might have to edit some of these. Like, you can ask me anything you want to ask because I am not bashful. You know that. You might be sitting here in front of the camera, but.
What's something you secretly love but pretend to hate?
Nickelback. No. Something that I don't, there's nothing big, like.
You're not a pretender?
No, what you see is what you get with me. There's nothing that I can think of that I'm just not honest about. Like, I like what I like. Like, for instance, like Creed. Creed the band. A lot of people talk shit on Creed. I love Creed.
Well, I think it's mostly just a Scott Stapp issue, not the rest of the band.
Yeah, Nickelback, that's another one that, like, people love to hate on Nickelback, and, like, technically they're a very sound band. They just got a little corporate there at the end, and I think that's what people didn't like. But when you're wanting to listen to, like, what we call booty rock, booty shaking rock, when you're wanting to listen to booty rock, there is no better bands than bands like Nickelback.
Yeah.
And
like the song, is it Rockstar or something? Yeah.
Yeah. Every time.
That used to be your jam back in the day.
Yeah. Before the radio played it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happened in Nickelback is they got corporate and the radio just played nonstop Nickelback, and it wore on people because there are other bands out there. But I for the life of me, I can't think of anything that I secretly love that people don't know, or I pretend like, because that's just exhausting pretending all the time.
All right, so we're gonna do some rapid fire, right? Okay. Sweet.
Is this okay? So how's this rapid fire go?
I'm just gonna ask you, like, it's a very simple question.
Is it first thing that pops up into mind, or what?
No, not like that. No.
Okay.
So sweet or salty?
Sweet. Salty.
Okay. Mountains or beach?
Mountains.
One word to describe me.
Beautiful.
One word to describe you.
Nonsensical.
Your favorite guilty pleasure?
Cannabis.
Worst job you ever had?
Oh, there's been a lot of them. Man, I worked at this one place one time making dog bones, and the smell was awful,
Oh,
and the
yeah.
pay was terrible. So these dog bones, they were almost like plasticky. They were the toothbrushing kind, that's a bone on one
Yeah.
end and the toothbrush on the other. It's and they were green.
We're green, yeah.
I can still smell them as
Yeah.
I'm talking about it. The smell made me nauseous. It was hot nastiness is what it
Yeah.
was. And what they would do is they would heat this stuff up and then press it into a mold. And I don't know. I definitely wouldn't. I would not, after working there, I would not feed those to my dog.
Yeah.
If I had a dog. I don't have a dog, but if I did, I wouldn't feed so that was probably the worst job I've ever had. And it could have been tolerable if the pay was a couple dollars more. But ladies and gentlemen, and this was in the 2000s. This was in the 2000s. I was making $6 an hour at this place.
Yeah. So worst job I ever had was Citibank. I'm just going to
Yeah.
call them out.
Yeah.
Citibank, student loans. I worked for collecting for government and private student loans.
Yeah.
Did it for 2 years. Worst job I ever had in my life. But I made pretty good money
Yeah.
doing it in 2006, 2007. So I made I think when I left after 2 years, I made like $13.25 an hour. I thought that was really good.
Well, it's not. So now it's, your favorite job that you've ever had is like my favorite job that I've ever had is this one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, people would be like, but you've not made very much money. And I'm like, but I'm my own man. This is my business, my thing.
Yeah.
And nobody can tell me what to do. Like people give me suggestions, but ultimately this is my thing. And this has been my most favoritist project that I've ever done. And for you, I already know it's the one you currently have.
Yeah. If it's not for that, when I worked in a restaurant,
Yeah, that was cool.
I
Yeah.
loved it. Even though it was long hours and standing on your feet for those long hours,
Yeah.
I loved it because you had food at your disposal to create things with. So
And then it's what I did for a career before this. I was in underground utility work, and boy, that was cool. Like at the time, that was my favorite thing, my favorite job. But now it's definitely this one. And being a dad, you can't beat being a dad.
yeah. What's your favorite memory with me?
My favorite memory with you, I think you already know this, but we went to a concert. It was a date night concert in Kansas City.
And didn't we win the tickets?
I think, I
Yeah.
think, no, I don't know if
I think we
won
did.
those. I have no idea.
think
Maybe
we
we
did.
did. Maybe we did. They were, it was
Because
Tesla.
we were like, Tesla.
Yeah,
All right, we'll go.
We were going to see Tesla at the
Midland
the
Theater.
Midland Theater, and I don't even remember what year it was. That's how long ago it was.
Yeah.
But we went out to dinner. We went to Grinders, Kansas City, and we had a great meal there. And then we went to see Tesla. And yes, we did win those tickets because I wouldn't have bought tickets way up on the balcony. So they were free tickets because where we were sitting, I wouldn't have bought tickets there. But it was way up on the top balcony. And when we get up there, we sat there for the entire show and there was nobody there. Nobody there. And when Tesla came on, like right before Tesla came on, the balcony filled up. Like everybody came to their seats or whatever. But when Tesla came on and they were singing,
And it was like an acoustic concert.
I'm
too.
kind of choking up thinking about it. Yes, it was an acoustic concert, but when they started doing that song, Love Song, it felt like,
We were the only two people in the room.
yeah, it felt like we were the only two people in the room. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm getting a little emotional, not because I'm sad, but because if you can imagine a perfect night, that was a perfect night. And it's happened a lot since then. But it has happened a lot since then. But that was the first time that I really looked at you and was like, yeah, this is it.
And I remember it too, like, I mean, if you've never been to the Midland Theater, especially in the top, because we had been there like a ton of times to the Midland Theater, but never went to the top. But they have a really cool bar.
We visited the top to go to that bar a couple of times, but we'd never seen where we sat.
They have a really cool bar up there in the middle of that floor. So, but then if you have to go to the bathroom, you have to go all the way back down the stairs into the basement of the Midland Theater. So, yeah. All right.
I get a little emotional sometimes. I won't hold that in. It's probably a little easier to let it out.
Are you a day or night person?
So I'm both. I prefer the daytime simply because like that's when everything's open. That's when everything's available. That's when you can do the most. However, I love my peace at night sometimes a little too much. Like, for instance, I was up till 4:00 this morning.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure, like, at one point, I, like, looked over, and your side of the bed was empty, and there was light shining through the window.
Yeah, yeah.
Or, like, the sun was just starting to come up, and I'm like, what the heck? He's still not in bed.
Right. But I
heard the TV, so.
You would think I'd sleep all day, but I don't.
Yeah.
So I get up at a reasonable time, even when I do those things. And so... Like, for instance, right now it's 12:43, and I've been up for a few hours. So it's, I'm definitely a day person. I prefer the day.
That's how I am too. Like, even if I want to sleep in, like, my body won't let me sleep past 8:00.
Right. Now, no, don't get me wrong now. Like, when it comes to like nighttime and going and doing things at night, I don't even mind getting my kids out. Like in the middle of summer, we'll go out and do something at 2:00 in the morning if we're on vacation. Like we may like some of these places like Disney World's open till like 1:00 in the morning. So we would stay until like midnight if we wanted.
Yeah,
it doesn't bother me. And if we're home and it's a weekend or summertime and it's 11:00 at night, this used to drive you nuts. I know it used to drive you nuts seeing little kids out after certain times at night, but I'm like, it's, what do they got?
Well, and I don't know why I'm like that, because I remember like when I was like 12, 13, my cousin used to drag me out to like Perkins at like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because her husband was a police officer, and like he would get off and they would go to Perkins, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I'm just tagging along. So, yeah. But I already know the answer to this question, but maybe some other people don't. Coke or Pepsi?
Pepsi, definitely Pepsi. Definitely Pepsi. Like, so my mom was a Pepsi nut when I was little, and she protected her Pepsi. Like we had our own little cheap sodas, but she always got the Pepsis. And so every now and then I'd sneak some of her Pepsi or she'd give me some, on the side and nobody'd see. And my grandparents were big Pepsi drinkers when I was a kid. So when I'd go over to their house, it was caffeine free, but I didn't know, like, you can't taste the difference.
I don't even think they sell it anymore, but Diet caffeine-free Pepsi is like my favorite drink ever, and I don't know why. It's got a weird taste to it.
Yeah.
But I like the taste of it, but you can't find it nowhere. Because I remember your grandpa used to drink the Diet caffeine-free Pepsi.
Yeah.
And
before it was Diet.
Yeah, and it was like gold.
Diet. Yeah.
Right? It was in a gold can.
Before it was Diet, it was regular Pepsi caffeine-free.
Yeah, I love that stuff. But yeah, I haven't had it since your grandpa was alive, probably because can't find it.
Yeah, you can't find it. But yeah, I that's how I got my love of Pepsi. And my favorite used to be the Green Mountain Dew. Now I don't like that anymore. But Pepsi's always a constant. So I like going. I love Mountain Dew Code Red, like love it. But that's one of those things that I'm like, I've had too much Code Red, but like I can never get enough Pepsi. It's always Pepsi.
Yeah.
Love Pepsi.
So, how do you feel about cilantro?
I love it. I love cilantro, and you don't like it, which is weird.
Well, I tolerate it.
You've grown to like it.
Like when you see people making recipes and they're like, "Oh, add a handful of cilantro." I was like, "No, I'll add a teaspoon," because I'm one of those weird people that it tastes like soap.
Yeah,
So-
and I love, like, you could throw all the cilantro in there, and I'll eat the shit out of it. I love cilantro.
Yeah, which I know it like makes things pretty. And like I can eat like, I really like cilantro lime rice, but it's like the lime kind of overpowers the cilantro.
We'll have to do. We'll have to do. We have to take pictures. Like next time we do like tacos or something, we'll have to do like a few shorts on the foods that we make and eat.
Yeah.
Because some of them are really like picture perfect.
Yeah, like my stuffed tomato. I love that picture because like I was at that point like.
Oh, that was you. You did that?
Yes.
I thought it was something that you just.
No.
Oh,
Like
okay.
I made that like several years ago when we had some homegrown tomatoes.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, ooh, let's stuff these. Like, let's make taco stuffed tomatoes.
Yeah.
And like, I cut it all pretty and made it. And I'm like, I'm just going to take a picture of it. Well, it was like perfect, like food picture.
Yeah,
like belongs in a magazine
that's
or something.
why I didn't think it was yours.
Yeah, it
I
was
guess.
me. And it was the food picture quality on my phone.
Yeah.
There's
yeah.
like a different program you can use. So
What else you got?
let's
We
see.
gotta go get the little one here in a few minutes, so we'll have to wrap this up. But what else you got?
Yeah. So, favorite summertime activity?
My favorite summertime, like a lot of you already know this one, but I love going to theme parks. But like I guess traveling in general, getting away from the house, doing things. I love just getting outside the city and doing shit outside of my city.
Yeah.
But my favorite thing, I think my favorite summertime activity is theme parks. You know,
So, what is your favorite food? Like, let's
burgers, for sure.
say. So, what about like cuisine? What's your favorite cuisine?
Oh man, this is a tough one because I really really love Italian food, but Mexican is the go-to. Like
Yeah.
Mexican food.
Do you think you could live in?
Oh, for sure. For
Mexico
sure.
and eat
Mexico,
Mexican
yes.
every day?
Yes. Could I live in South America even? Yes.
I could live off beans and
Yes.
tortillas.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, it's not just beans
I
and
know.
tortillas. They use cheese and like, even in
Cow cheek.
even in the even in the most desolate places, like even way far out there in South America, you can still find goats. So
Well, you can find goats right at the border because when I
Yeah,
went to
yeah.
Mexico at the border, they
There are
had
goats everywhere, yeah.
skinned goats hanging up in the heat.
Ew.
for you to buy.
They have wet markets in Mexico?
Well, this was a border town, so they had like everything.
Wow, that's crazy.
There.
Wow,
But
that's nuts.
They
did
also
not
had a
know
big
that.
store called the Canada Store.
Yeah. Well, that's weird.
It is weird.
Mexico.
I ate there because at the top of the Canada Store, so the bottom of the Canada Store.
You go to
is-
Mexico to eat in Canada.
Right. That's why I told everybody. Like, I went to the Canada Store in Mexico. And so the bottom of it's kind of like a TJ Maxx or
Oh,
dollar
yeah.
store,
Yeah.
whatever. But at the top, there's a really fancy restaurant where the waiters wear suits.
Fun fact, did you know Trader Joe's is an Aldi company? Mm-hmm. Okay.
I wish we had a Trader Joe's.
Yeah.
So, but
But yeah, I could live off Mexican food, or just south of the border cuisine.
okay. So favorite restaurant anywhere. Doesn't have to be here.
Oh boy, that
Or favorite place you've ever eaten.
there's been a lot of them. I love Cascones in Kansas City. That was really good. Son of a bitch. The Chicago Oven Grinders in Chicago. That was amazing, and the atmosphere was great. Everything about it was great. So that's probably
Are you sure everything about it was great? It was really loud, and we were shoved into a back corner, little tiny table.
But we were in Chicago, and it was the experience, man. I'm telling you what, that is it. I loved that trip. We were only gone for a few days, but I loved that trip to Chicago, and
Yeah.
we're gonna have to do
Sully
it again.
did too.
We're gonna have to do it again because it was so awesome. Could you imagine little Rocket in Chicago, just looking up at the
At the bean.
or well at the buildings, the giant buildings, just walking around. If you look up, you get dizzy.
We should ride on the L train just one time. Just from one stop to the next.
Have security with us or something.
Just to experience it.
Yeah. Actually, probably none of the ruffians probably ride the L train. They're all below it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, that's probably. And what was that pizza place in Orlando?
Giordano's?
Giordano's in Orlando. That was friggin' amazing.
Was.
You know, one of the
I see a
favorite.
theme here, right?
What?
Italian pizza.
Yeah. One of the places that I really liked going to was in Tennessee, and they recently closed, and it was Marcy Joe's Meal House in freaking forget what city it was in. It was just outside of Nashville, about an hour.
I don't think it wasn't Columbia.
No, I don't
Was it?
remember.
Yeah, I can't
don't remember,
remember.
but
It just gave up.
I don't know.
Technical difficulties.
Anyway, so Marcy Joe's Meal House in Tennessee, before they closed, that was one place that we always had to go to whenever we were close. And a lot of people probably be like, well, it wasn't even that good. It wasn't that it was that good. The food was always good there.
There was nothing there that I had that wasn't good.
Yeah. But
Even the coffee.
The
was
food
good.
was always good, but it was the atmosphere and the people and the when you go into the place and you're sitting down and having breakfast, you look around and there's license plates and pictures from everywhere, and there's lots to look at, and the people are just fantastic.
Yeah, and you could sit with like people you didn't even know because I had that
Yeah.
big long table in the middle that everybody just sat at.
Yeah, they had a giant, just a family table that you could go sit. Like I think they were closet doors that had been flipped upside down. I
Yeah.
think some of them.
Yeah.
It was just a fantastic. You just sit with people that, like, we're from Missouri, and we're in this place in Tennessee, and people are like, "Hey, you don't sound like us. You don't
You
look
talk
like
different."
us." So it's very interesting to go into a place, and this place was like in a house. It looked like a house. You might have to find some pictures and flash them up on the screen or something, but. It was really neat to go in there, and then just the experience that you have while you're there, and it was good food. Mm-hmm. And then they had these I don't like cinnamon rolls, but their cinnamon rolls were great. Yeah. And I think the reason why I don't like cinnamon rolls is the cream cheese icing.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Well, I don't put cream cheese icing on my cinnamon rolls.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But that's my favorite restaurants. I do have to say my favorite place to eat though is right here at home.
Yeah.
And that's because of you. So thank you.
You're welcome.
What else you got?
I think that wraps up my questions.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to have to do this like Q&A thing with like family members that are, familiar with my childhood and stuff, because like that's where you get into the crazy conversations is my childhood. Like me and my sister used to fight every fucking day, and she'd beat the shit out of me up until I was about 14. And my mom used to say things like, one of these days he's going to hit you back. One of these days he's going to hit you back. And this is like, I punched my sister so hard in the mouth it knocked her teeth loose. And from then on, I'd never hit her before that. I defended myself, but never just like straight out clocked her one, I was about 14 years old. So she would have been like 16. And she had just straight up threw a bowl of nachos at me because of something I said. And then the fight was on. We were rolling around on the floor, and she just kept hitting me and hitting me and hitting me. I told her, it's like, knock it off. I'm going to punch you. And then I reared back and punched her right in the mouth. And my sister was a tough chick back then. And she just used to beat the shit out of me. Oh man, I got stories like that for days. And at one time, I finally just had enough, and I punched her right in the face.
She probably didn't mess with you after that, did
No,
she?
her and I have never had much of more than a crossword to each other since then. When I talk, she listens. It's so funny. It's so funny. We've never had a physical altercation after that. It didn't happen. I think she just needed to know, I guess. I don't know, but I'd never really wanted to hit her before. And that day I'd had enough. I was like, why are you so mean? You know? And it wasn't just me that she did this to. It was everybody she was mean to. So, and our parents, she was mean to our parents.
And if you see pictures of her when she was little, she looks mean.
Yeah. But so I've got all kinds of stories like that. I've got humorous stories about jumping off the roofs of garages when I was 5, into a pool that wasn't really a pool. It was a stock tank.
I jumped off a loft in a barn onto a trampoline that had a mattress on it. And now it was fun when I did it, but now I think about it and I thought I could have died.
Yeah.
Like, cause it was high up there. Cause it was like one of those old barns with a loft in the top of it.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
died.
So there was cables and power lines coming into the house right there. And I don't know if it was power lines, but I was climbing around wires. I was like 4 or 5 years old, jumping off the roof of my garage into a swimming pool. There's all kinds of stupid stories like that. I'm lucky to be alive. I've done some stupid stuff. But that's the thing. Like, so many of these things have happened to me that over the years, like, what I wanted to do with the Q&A is kind of like ask me questions about the stuff that I forget about. And like the stories, there's a lot of stories in my life that have happened. You said movie, right? A movie about my life. Who would play me? It's more like it'd have to be a mini series. or something like that, because so many things have happened. I'm only 40, but I feel like I've lived 3 separate lives. And it is hard sometimes to remember what life was like before we even met. Mm-hmm. And like, I was married before. Like that.
And we've been together half of our lives.
Right. Like, that blows my mind to think about sometimes. Like, damn, this is my second marriage, and I was just a kid when we got together, and that blows my, like, I've got kids older than I was when we got together, and that's wild. It's wild to think about how much crazy things have happened just since we've been together. All the crazy things that have happened, and all the family members that we've gained and we've lost, some of the ones that we've lost that are still living, that's been pretty sad. And one of these days I want to get my sister in here to talk about some of those things. I mourned my sister's death before she died. She's still alive. She's still alive. And I've had those conversations with her. So many bad things have happened, and like, I feel like I've had to mourn her while she's still alive, because I didn't know. I wanted to kind of detach myself from that emotional. I just wanted to prepare myself for when it happened, because I knew I was going to get that phone call. And like, here it is a few years after that, and I'm still waiting on that phone call. And it's sad. It's very sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of those things, in a happy kind of light, not so serious, but because my life's been a trip. It's been a great time, and I think of my life in negative terms sometimes, but if I could give everybody a piece of advice, we all do this a lot, everybody. If we could stop thinking so much about the things that we want or the future and start looking at what we already have right here in front of us, I think we could all do a little bit more of that. Be present, you know. Lately, I've been, you know, when the 6-year-old comes and hangs out with me and he says, Dad, let's do this. I'll stop doing the thing that I'm doing to go hang out with the 6-year-old because.
Or do your math.
Yeah, or do my math. There's no time left. This is it.
Yeah.
We got to make the most of it while we're here and stop, just stop trying to keep up with the Joneses. Just look at what you have.
I mean, because I know some Joneses and they ain't got much to keep up with.
Absolutely. A lot of people, a lot of people see these people with big flashy cars and, like nice clothes and the Nike shoes and this, that, and the other, the Gucci and Gabbana or whatever it is, the Dolce and Gabbana and Gucci.
The Gucci and...
A lot of people see this stuff and they're like, oh, this person's got it all. But it's fake, man. It is all fake. It's all a facade. These people...
I had a Gucci purse once. It came from Mexico.
Yeah, and it was fake.
Yeah.
But
cost me $10.
These people's lives are fake. They don't own those big fancy cars. The bank owns them. I don't know one single person that can afford, I know some people that have got some damn money. I don't know a single person that can afford a $100,000 truck. I just don't. The people that have them can't often afford them. You know what the payment is on a $100,000 truck? It's like $1,500 a month for a new pickup. A new pickup. Like, why? Why do that? The old ones work just as good.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to understand these things. I wanted the flashy shit too. I wanted this. I wanted the new vehicles, and I wanted the new phones. But there comes a time where I just stopped and looked at it like, we're being had, man. We're being ripped off. People are fucking us intentionally, and we're letting them. So stop looking at all the things that you don't have. Start looking at what you do have. And that's a challenge to everybody. And as they say in, back in the day, dick buttons out.
Bye.